So you bought a house, and somewhere between the handshake and the closing table, something wasn't right. Maybe the seller knew about that crack or that fire. Maybe the agent sold you structural disaster with great curtains. Maybe you just got flat out lied to. And now you're sitting there thinking, Rick, that's just fraud. You're probably right, but here's the thing. That's fraud, and I can and I'm willing to go through everything necessary to prove it. Well, those two things live in very different zip codes. Today, we're going to close that gap. Another day, another solution. Let's talk dirt. If you've watched any of my prior videos, you might know how I treat the law. Every cause of action or claim is a checklist. Every element is a box. Every box has to be checked. Here come the boxes. Fraud has 7. All 7 have to be proven, not suggested, proven. Checked boxes win cases. In Texas, fraudulent misrepresentation requires proving 7 specific elements. And here's where I want you to think about this differently than most people do. This is not baseball. In baseball, if you hit 4 out of 10, you're a Hall of Famer. In fraud litigation, if you prove 6 out of 7 elements, well, you're a loser. Think about that for a second. 6 out of 7. You were right about almost everything. The other side was wrong about almost everything. And yet, you still lose because fraud is a checklist and you don't get partial credit. 7 boxes, 7 checks, every single one. Anything less, and you spend a tremendous amount of time and money for nothing. So let's go through them one by one. Element or checkbox 1, a representation was made. Someone said something or put something in writing, a statement of fact, not an opinion, not a sales pitch, not, hey, it's a great neighborhood, an actual factual claim. No flooding in this property, roof replaced in 2020, foundation is solid. That's a representation. Box 1, check. Element or checkbox number 2, the representation was false. What they said wasn't true. The roof wasn't replaced in 2020. There was flooding. The foundation had cracks. Now, Rick, that's a straightforward box, right? Well, it can be, but here's what trips people up. False means that the statement was wrong. That's all. Whether they knew it was wrong, that's a different box entirely. We'll get there soon. So element or checkbox 3 requires that the representation was material. Here's where it gets interesting. Material means that it mattered. It had to be the kind of statement that would actually affect whether a reasonable person would make this deal. A minor leak that caused $30 in damages 7 years ago? Probably not material. There's an active termite colony living in the walls? That probably is material. A previous fire that caused extensive damage? Probably material. At the end of the day, it has to be something that would cause the average person to hesitate purchasing the property. Element or checkbox 4 requires that the speaker knew it was false or acted recklessly. Now pay attention to this one. This is where a lot of cases start falling apart. You have to show they knew or that they were so reckless about whether it was true that it's basically the same thing. I didn't know is actually a real defense. It's an annoying one. It's a frustrating one, but it's a real one. And trust me, they're going to say it every time. Believe it or not, box 4, this is usually one of the hardest ones to check. Checkbox or element number 5 requires that the speaker intended for you to rely on it. They said it because they wanted you to make a decision based on it. They weren't just talking, they were selling. Element or checkbox 6 requires that you actually relied on the misrepresentation. In other words, you heard it, you believed it, and it changed what you did. If you had bought the house anyway, that could be the end of the case. Reliance has to be real and it has to be provable. Element or checkbox 7 requires you to prove that you suffered actual damages as a direct result of the misrepresentation. This doesn't mean annoyed, disappointed, or just inconvenienced. It means actually damaged. Actual, provable, measurable harm that flows directly from the false statement. Making the case that fraud actually caused your loss, it's much easier said than done, but it may be the most important checkbox. So here's the full scorecard. Element 1, a representation was made. Element 2, the representation was false. Element 3, the representation was material. Element 4, they knew it was false or acted recklessly. Element 5, they intended for you to rely on it. Element 6, you actually relied on it. And element 7, you suffered actual damages as a direct result. That's what a fraud case requires. Now remember this, you need all 7. The defense only needs 1. Just 1, and your entire case is done. So now that we've gone through all the elements, here's the thing about those 7 boxes. The other side has a counter for every single one. There was no representation. That was just sales talk. It wasn't false. That was our honest belief. It wasn't material. You had an inspection. We didn't know. We're not engineers. You didn't rely on it. You signed an as-is clause. Your damages aren't from what we said. The market moved. 7 boxes, 7 different fights, and you have to win all 7 of them. So let's say you have a solid case. All 7 boxes are checked, got the evidence, we have paper trail, we have damages. Congratulations. Now comes the next problem. Is it economically worth it for you? And is it economically worth it for the attorney you're looking to hire? Because those are 2 different questions, and the answers don't always line up. Most seasoned real estate attorneys won't take these cases on contingency, not because the case isn't real, because the economics are brutal. And even when an attorney does, a 40% contingency fee on a case where you need the money to fix the property, that's a tension worth understanding before you sign anything. The next 2 videos cover all of it. Why experienced attorneys pass, why contingency can work against you, and what the economics of these cases actually look like. Don't skip those. If you found this video informative, please make sure to like and subscribe below and join our community. I always like to remind viewers that these videos are not meant as legal advice. If you need help with a matter, you can contact us in the links below. As always, thanks for watching.